This is chapter 11, A Sheep in a Sheep's Clothing. Finally, it was Friday, the last day before the zoo was to officially open. Everyone in Amelia Bedelia's class came to our house after school to make sure that the zoo would be ready in time. Pat and Amelia Bedelia went straight to the garage to work on the contraption. They tested it a couple of times. It took 3 seconds after the treat was grabbed for the inflatable tube to fall into place. All that was missing was a banana and a monkey. Rose's mother stopped by with cupcakes for everyone and 3 mini trampolines. Amelia Bedelia and Rose decided to set them up in a line, one right after the other. Rose hopped on one. Boing, boing, boing. "I'm a kangaroo," she hollered. Then everybody had to try it. The trampolines were a perfect addition to the Bee and Animal exhibit. The whole class worked together on the final exhibit, Signs of Animals. There was a section of a tree trunk with claw marks made from clay. It looked exactly like a bear had been there. Penny used more clay on another tree to make it look like a beaver had gnawed on the wood, and Nate used a dark brown marker to create fake holes, a woodpecker searching for bugs. That night, Amelia Bedelia's family sat down to a special dinner of grilled lamb chops. Her father had been talking about dinner nonstop since he came home from work. At last the table was set, candles were lit, and dinner was served. He said. Bah! Amelia Bedelia's father looked at Amelia Bedelia's mother, who looked at Amelia Bedelia, who tried to look like nothing had actually happened. Amelia Bedelia's father shrugged and popped a bite of lamb into his mouth. Bah! Amelia Bedelia's dad stopped chewing. "Sweetheart," he said, "either this is the freshest lamb you've ever made, or there's a sheep outside our window." They both looked at Amelia Bedelia. "You look sheepish," said her mother. "Sheepish?" said Amelia Bedelia. "I'm not a sheep. What sheep?" "Bah!" Her parents jumped up and ran outside, with Amelia Bedelia close behind them. The sun was setting, songbirds were chirping, and a sheep was grazing in the grass. The peaceful scene lasted less than a second. "Okay, young lady," said her mom. "Out with it. Why is there a sheep in our yard?" Eating dinner?" she said. Amelia Bedelia's mother put her hands on her hips, and her eyes narrowed to slits. Amelia Bedelia's father gazed at the heavens as he slowly shook his head. Amelia Bedelia realized that she had run out of luck. Perhaps it was time for truth. "You know Wade, right? Well, Wade's Uncle Fred, he has a farm. And he grows vegetables, and he has animals like chickens and pigs and cows and sheep. And when he came to town today for the farmer's market, he dropped off a spare sheep." Sweetie," said Amelia Bedelia's mother, "I don't recall giving permission for a sheep." "But my zoo opens tomorrow," said Amelia Bedelia. "Uncle Fred will stop by after and pick it up." "Look," said her father, "your ideas of super, but you have gone wild. You're making me nuts with all these animals. Are you trying to get my goat?" "Goat?" said Amelia Bedelia. "If I'd known you had a goat, I wouldn't have gotten a sheep." Amelia Bedelia's mom clapped her hand to her mouth and snorted. "Amelia Bedelia," she said, trying not to laugh, "you don't have any more animals up your sleeve, do you?" "See for yourselves," said Amelia Bedelia, rolling up her sleeves. "Empty." Now her father was trying not to laugh, but he managed to say, "No more surprise animals, young lady," in his firmest, "I'm not really kidding this time" voice. "Cross my heart," said Amelia Bedelia, tracing a giant X on her chest. Luckily, the sheep was wearing a collar. Amelia Bedelia's father tied a rope around the collar and led the sheep to a spot where it would have plenty of grass, but couldn't reach any of the flower beds. "I need to attach the rope to something," he said. "Any ideas?" "How about a stake?" asked Amelia Bedelia's mother. "Dad doesn't need a steak. He's got a plate full of lamb chops waiting for him." Her parents looked at each other, then at each other, or looked at her, then at each other, and then back at the sheep. "Bah!" "Here's an idea," said Amelia Bedelia's father. "Let's put those lamb chops in the fridge. I vote we all go out for pizza. All in those in favor say bah." "Bah," said Amelia Bedelia. "Bah," said her mother. "Bah," said the sheep. "It's unanimous," said her father. "Hey, Mom and Dad," Amelia Bedelia said from the back seat as they pulled out of the driveway, "when we go back home, remind me to call and cancel the cow." Now she was the only one who couldn't keep a straight face. She burst out laughing, and her parents did too, and they all laughed all the way to Perfect Pizza Parlor. And this is chapter 12. Getting skunked twice. Ooh. Late that night, finally began acting very strangely. She danced at the back door, whining, growling, and barking. Amelia Bedelia's father opened the door just from the outside. He had just put out the trash and finally tore past him and right into the backyard. "Wow," said Amelia Bedelia's dad. "I'd hate to run into Finally. She's loaded for bear." "Daddy, what are you talking about?" said Amelia Bedelia. "We don't have any bears in our backyard, just a sheep." Finally barked, then growled, then yelped. "Whoa," said Amelia Bedelia's father. "Do you smell that?" Anyone with a nose could smell that. Finally had been sprayed by a skunk. "No chance," said Amelia Bedelia's father when Finally appeared at the back door, eager to come in. "You raised a stink and you found one, and we need to clean you up first." Amelia Bedelia's mom called Diana the dog walker to ask for the recipe for getting rid of the skunk odor. Luckily, Finally got more of a skunk spritz than a full spray. Amelia Bedelia and her parents took turns scrubbing, so she cleaned up pretty quickly. The only good part was that before they scrubbed her, Amelia Bedelia took a clipping of Finely's hair and put it in a plastic bag. She wrote "skunk smell" on the outside of the bag. She added it to signs of animals exhibit in the morning with a warning to anyone brave enough to take a whiff. It was getting late. Amelia Bedelia couldn't wait for tomorrow. She grabbed a banana from the fruit bowl and was heading out to the garage when her mother stopped her. "Where are you going? You're not leaving a house with a skunk loose in the backyard, and it's time for bed." "Hey," said her father, "did you invite that skunk to your zoo?" Amelia Bedelia would have smiled, but she was upset that she couldn't put a banana in the car seat contraption for the monkey. All that work, all of those plans. She trudged upstairs and left the banana on her windowsill as usual. She had really wanted to catch that monkey for her zoo. Just like Finally, Amelia Bedelia had been skunked.